Hey guys, welcome back to another episode on the What I Love About Sex podcast. I'm Stephanie, and today I am talking about the 8 most common sex-related problems among men. Many of you listening to this might have come from my freebie that you received, 3 Ways to Fix Your Sex Life. And if you haven't come from there and you want that freebie, then go to the description of this episode and you can grab it there. In this episode, I want to have you guys feel like you can relate to something because it's sad that men don't talk about this stuff, like your sex problems. And then you feel like you're the only guy that's, messed up as things aren't working and what's wrong with me, when really these problems are so common. And it's not that you want to ignore them, but you do want to feel at least that you're not alone and that you're normal for facing problems. And also that there are answers to fix your problems. You are not stuck. You are never stuck with the same problem for life. Don't ever feel that way because it's simply not true. And there are always ways to work around the difficulties that you're facing, no matter how difficult they are. I've worked with many guys in crazy situations and helped them out of there. So borrow some of my hope if you need it. So let's go into the 8 most common problems men face sexually. The first one is premature ejaculation. And regardless of all the Viagra billboards you see and how common erection pills are, premature ejaculation is actually the most common sex problem among men. There's so much shame wrapped around in it. There hasn't yet been a sexy way to market it as there is for Viagra and erectile dysfunction, I should say. It's a little more hidden, but 1 out of every 3 guys will experience it at some point in their life. It's when a man finds himself ejaculating too quickly, even when he's tried a couple things, and he just doesn't seem to be able to control that ejaculation. A lot of guys will ask me, is premature ejaculation like under 30, like within 30 seconds to a minute? Is that what defines it? Is that what it means? Is it, what if I can last longer than 3 minutes, but I'm still not happy? I typically tell guys that if you feel like a total lack of control within 3 to 5 minutes, I would still consider that premature ejaculation because you're not satisfied and in your mind, you're prematurely ejaculating, right? The technical definition is more around like seconds to a minute and a half. Even if you're not satisfied though, there are ways to improve the PE so that you can last longer and you can feel more confident. A lot of premature ejaculation is psychologically induced, and the other is physical, right? And that could mean nervous system dysfunction, prostate issues, often like inflammation of the prostate, hormonal imbalances, if you have low testosterone, thyroid imbalances, if you have thyroid issues, which is always good to get checked, and also medication side effects or substance use can lead to premature ejaculation. So there's definitely things that bring it on physically, but you can still control. And even if these things don't work, and it is mostly physical for you, and it's a neuro response, there are still things you can do mentally to improve it. You may not get to the point of lasting 5 full minutes, right? Which is average, by the way. You can still use your mind to teach yourself to relax as much as possible, to try different positions. There are other things you can do to lengthen the amount of time. And there are a lot of different ways, whether it's physical or psychological, to work your way through this issue. There are Kegels, there are mindset habits, like self-talk habits that will relieve your anxiety and calm your body down. There is practicing edging, using different fantasies, right? That's again on the mental side. There's like more sensate focus, like kind of spreading out the sensual pleasure among your body so that it's not on one spot. There's so many different modalities, but you have to find the one that works for you. And what happens often with a lot of guys is they'll try Kegels for a week or like even 3 weeks and even longer. And they'll be like, oh, like I can't get rid of my PE. I tried Kegels and I tried thinking more positively, but it's so much more than that. And it doesn't have to be hard. You just have to figure out like, what is the thing I need? And let me really zone in on that thing because that's going to be my way to solve this issue. So if it works for another guy, it may not work for you, but something else will work for you. And you have to understand what that thing is so that you can really zone in on it and go for it in terms of finding that solution. This is tricky because it's frustrating when you're trying to figure it out yourself. This is why I coach men. So this is a good reason to work with someone like me or work with someone else, whoever you're comfortable with, to help you understand more quickly and more efficiently what it is you need based on your relationship, your stress levels, your body, the type of sex you want to have, etc. So that is problem number 1. Then we have erectile dysfunction, which is the next most common. By the way, these all won't be going in order of commonality. This would be a guy who has trouble maintaining an erection during sex. Not so much during masturbation, he's usually okay. It can get hard, but during sex with a partner, he has trouble getting an erection or keeping an erection. And sometimes you may even have erectile dysfunction when you masturbate and you're just not getting hard, or you have trouble, and you may get to a certain level of hardness, but never to the hardness you actually want. This can happen due to psychological factors of you being really nervous in a certain relationship that stresses you out, or certain beliefs, maybe religious beliefs or shame, are getting in the way of you feeling like sexually free and confident and comfortable. And then there's also physical factors. Like there are guys who smoke cigarettes or drink too much alcohol on a weekly basis, and this really messes with you. Also medications. There's things that physically play a factor as well. And you want to understand, like, is it more performance pressure, or is it more lifestyle factors? Relaxation techniques and understanding what triggers your reactions of going from hard to soft, and kind of understanding yourself and studying yourself in that way is going to be the best thing for you to get an idea of like, okay, what do I need? What do I need to zone in on? And what's going to help me? Because that relaxation, relaxing the body physically and mentally, and also understanding your triggers, as well as understanding what actually really turns you on, these things help you get to the place of like really feeling in control and understanding, I guess more so understanding your dick, like just like feeling like you totally understand yourself. And there's a certain level of confidence there. And with practice, there's a certain level of trust there. When you have trust and confidence, your erections tend to stay, and you know how to get them back if you're struggling in a certain situation. I've actually taken multiple clients off of Viagra, where they were relying on Viagra for some of them 20 years, some a few years, and just wanted to get off because they're like, I want to feel in control. Like, I don't want to feel like I always have to take a pill. And like, it kind of feels like a weakness, like that I always have to rely on this, and I want to learn how to not. And I think that's great. And I loved helping them. And it's just so fascinating how simple it can be to get them off the pill and have them feel confident being off of it. Meanwhile, so many men feel like, oh, that would be impossible, or I'd be too embarrassed, but there are ways to work around it. So don't feel like you're stuck using a pill and like you'll never get natural hardness again. You just got to figure yourself out. And if you need help, you work with someone like me to do that. Then we have delayed ejaculation. This is when a man finds it challenging to reach an orgasm. Sometimes he can reach an orgasm, but he can't ejaculate during intercourse, even if he's really aroused. So guys with delayed ejaculation will be really turned on, and they can be very hard. And it's just like, after a while, it's just they're pounding away and they're exhausted and their legs are cramping, and their wife or girlfriend is cramping and she's starting to become more dry and in pain, and conceiving can be difficult. So although a lot of guys, since most guys will struggle with PE, premature ejaculation, there's a lot of negative talk towards DE among men, like not counting it as a problem, being like, oh yeah, I wish I had that problem. I wish I could last forever. But it's very upsetting when you want to get an orgasm and feel that pleasure, or you want to ejaculate and feel that physical release, and you want to have children with your partner. It is a problem. So I want you guys who struggle with DE to feel validated that and this can be linked often to overstimulation from porn or certain medications. But from my experience working with guys with DE, they often did watch a lot of porn. There were a couple that didn't, and didn't watch it at all and still struggled with DE almost every time. But the majority of them, there's a lot of porn involved. What you mostly want to do with delayed ejaculation is to reduce external stimulation. So cutting back on porn and trusting your mind, like learning to trust your mind and using touch while you're trusting your mind and working with your mind fantasy-wise and sexually? Like, what can you come up with that turns you on? What can you create? And can you start to trust yourself so that you get more in tune with your body? A lot of guys with DE often will also have language that sounds like, I just want her to come. I just want to focus on her. And they disconnect from themselves by obsessing over her pleasure instead of their own. And that actually makes the DE worse. There are multiple things you can do. And there's even ways to continue watching porn, but not as much, and incorporating more mindful touch with it. So that's DE. Number 4 is low libido or sexual interest. This is when a guy feels uninterested in sex, even if he's in a really healthy relationship and he has a healthy lifestyle. An explanation for this could be hormone imbalance, psychological stress, maybe disconnect from partner. And you want to make sure your body's working well physically. So definitely going to get checked by a doctor, and also creating a consistent routine for your mental health and for your relationship. Like making sure you understand, okay, am I fully healthy? Did I get all my blood work done? Is everything normal? Right? Like testosterone, thyroid, all that. Am I managing my stress? Because if you're stressed the fuck out and you're preoccupied with very stressful things, your body's not like, hey, it's time to reproduce. Like your body's like, no, let's fight this bear and then run to save ourselves, right? So you're in a fight or flight essentially when you're highly stressed. And this can really put your brain in a place completely different from relaxing and having sex and connecting in that way. So definitely something to keep in mind for all you high achieving men, because I've had my fair share of clients who are high achievers and who find themselves struggling to get in the mood easily. I think it's important for us to not judge ourselves when we do have sex problems, but just try to understand where it's coming from and make sense of it. That for me has been a total game changer, because if I can make sense of something, then I don't feel like I'm fucking crazy, Like it's still a problem, and that's fine. We all have problems, and we got to deal with them when we have them and figure them out. Feel like, okay, this is happening most likely because of this and this. And if I do this, which won't be easy, but I'm going to do it, I will get out of that so that I don't repeat this and this. Like that is so reassuring when you can walk yourself through situations that are frustrating, because it's like, all right, I know what it is. I know what I have to do. And that's a huge first step. Also, something I want to mention is if you're going to a doctor around dick issues like premature ejaculation, delayed ejaculation, or even erectile dysfunction, most likely you'll just have medications thrown at you and the doctor will just leave. Most likely, I should say, there will not be a conversation addressing your mental health, whether this is psychologically induced and what you can try before you get on meds. It's such an awkward conversation for so many people. Even doctors, just because someone's a doctor doesn't mean they're comfortable with the topic of sex or talking about penises to another guy. So you have to keep that in mind and always ask yourself, if I'm getting checked, is medication the first thing I want to try? Or do I want to understand that this is most likely a psychologically induced problem? And if I solve the psychology of it, I will solve the problem, and then I don't have to be on meds. And I would feel much better living my life not relying on meds to get my dick hard or to do what I want it to do. I would rather rely on myself. So I'm going to take the hard option in the beginning, just because I know it will take a little more work than popping a pill, but then I will have my entire life to be free and feel confident in myself, versus pop a pill my entire life and lack the confidence, feel like I'm relying on something. So that's something to think about. Everybody wants the magic pill, right? But even the magic pill in this case, Viagra, for instance, has consequences. So you have to think about which ones you want, short-term or long-term. All right, then we have number 5, which is porn addiction and its impact on your intimacy with your partner or yourself. A man who uses frequent porn affects his interests. You may change interests and feel like you always have to chase that next dopamine hit, which gets you down the rabbit hole of porn. This will also make you think differently about your body and your partner's body possibly, and change the type of sex you have with your partner because you think you have to compare it to porn. And it is just, oh my God, like normal sex, like real sex is not porn. Porn is not real. Porn is a movie. It has actors. They cut scene to apply more lube to the woman's vagina because there's no way she could be pounded for that long and just take it naturally. The guy loses his erection. They have to cut. He has to jerk off some more to get his erection back. It's a movie. And we don't see it as a movie. We see it as, oh, this is just a first run through and this is how they always have sex. Like, it is just not true. Most female porn stars are not impressed by the sex they have on set at all. And that's not something you want to emulate. And you also want to get in your head, like, even subconsciously, you're going to start believing that's what sex should be like the more you watch it, because you're just programming your brain to be like, okay, this is sex. I associate this imagery with arousal. And when you do that, you mess up your own sex life. So don't do that, and really try your best to stay in control over porn so that it does not control you. That's the place you want to be. You know, there's some of you that are like, hey, I watch porn. I don't feel like I have an issue. I'm in total control of it. It's not negatively impacting my relationship or me or my performance or function. And that's awesome. Great. Just make sure you stay in control of it always. That's always my advice. Then we have number 6 problem is sexual performance anxiety. And this is when a guy becomes overly focused on his performance, which often leads to erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation. This is often because there's this worry, this constant fear or worry or uncertainty that you're not good in bed, that you won't be able to perform the way you want to in bed. And what if? And these what if questions that you ask yourself place doubt in yourself and your body. You lose trust in your body goes into fight or flight mode or just freezes. It freezes up and there's tension and there's this focus on, yourself, like a hypervigilance on like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? So you're not connecting with your partner. You're not relaxed. You're not present. And you can't get aroused if there's not a certain level of relaxation going on for you. So this is really important. If you're struggling with SPA or sexual performance anxiety, you want to understand your stress levels and you want to understand what techniques are going to work best for you, like whether that's guided visualization, you doing certain breathing tactics. Even if you do a breathing session earlier in the day, knowing you're going to have sex at night, that is still helpful. So there's all these like tips and tricks that you probably aren't aware of that you could take advantage of to really help your anxiety go down as you figure out what you're actually worried about. That's important, is to understand what is the actual worry. Like you're worried about something and it's deeper than you think. It's more than just positive thinking. It's understanding, what are you telling yourself? What do you have to tell yourself instead? How are you behaving? How do you have to behave instead? And getting really familiar with another part of you that is the confident part of you and not the anxious part, and understanding what would he do? What would he do, think, and feel? And that's really important to understand so you could get out of this. But once again, there are various ways you can overcome sexual performance anxiety based on what you're specifically dealing with. Then we have number 7, which is lack of communication with a partner. This is when a guy will feel afraid to express his sexual needs or his fantasies. There's an intense fear of rejection, afraid of not understanding each other, but not talking about it and not knowing how to talk about it. And that is a skill set. I think people often forget that like communication in general is a skill set, but especially around your sex life, like it takes work and practice to get good at talking about a topic like sex, because it can feel so personal. It can feel very vulnerable. Rejection is not easy. Rejection, shame, like those aren't easy topics to bring up to someone who you're trying to ultimately impress and you want them to desire you, right? So it's like, how do you go about those conversations to make you still come from this confident place and actually be confident while you're addressing these concerns, so that you don't feel like this weak person when you're trying to talk things through with your partner? Like, this is the person you're having sex with. You have to be able to talk with them in order to solve your issues. There are a few cases where you don't necessarily have to have certain types of communication. Like, for example, I have a client of mine who is struggling with premature ejaculation, but it's never been an issue for his partner. And in fact, she acts the opposite. She's always saying how much she loves their sex life and how she loves the sex and she's like raving about their sex life consistently. So he's like, all right, it's not a problem in our relationship. It's just something I want to feel more in control over. So he, in that case, didn't need the communication with her in order to solve it. But then there are guys, which in most cases, their partner is dissatisfied or concerned about it. And you can't just leave her out and figure it out yourself, because she is going to play a role in helping you to do things a bit differently in bed. If she's upset, that means there must be conversation together about this thing. So with my coaching, what I do for my clients is I often will format the conversations they need to have. That way they feel like they know exactly what to say. They go in with it confidently. They know what information they need. And when they get that information, they're like, oh, okay, nice. We made progress because I understand this now. Or she told me this. I didn't know that before, and that's progress. Definitely want to, find someone who can help you format and build the skill set of communicating around sex. And also, a quick tip is just starting the conversation lightly, not heavily. I think it's easy for us to start stressful conversations like, oh, I really have to talk to you. And our energy gets lower. Our body language comes across very, insecure and worried. And it just doesn't set the tone for an effective conversation versus if you were like, babe, I love our relationship and I really want it to be like this. And that's why it made me think to talk to you about X, because I love how we do you're like, you don't have to be happy, but you're talking about a problem, but you're showing this, hey, I love our relationship. I want it to look like this. And I'm so happy with where it's at, but I want to talk to you about how we can make it look more like this and see what you think. Okay. That's constructive. You're working together. Then we have, lastly, body image and sexual insecurity. This is very common, especially when it comes to penis size, right? So a lot of you guys feel like you're not thick enough, you're not long enough, and therefore you're not good enough, or you can't give hot sex to your partner, which is so not true. And you once again compare yourself to porn stars who have 11-inch dicks. And that's just not at all the norm. And in fact, it's actually painful for the majority of women. So to be in that average size range, which is about a little over 5.5 to 6 inches, and even if you're not there, you want to find ways that you can appreciate your size, appreciate your function. Whatever is working well for you, bring more appreciation towards that so that you actually start feeling proud of your body and good in your body. And, there's multiple ways to do this, but if you're feeling self-conscious, then you're actually in a way being very, very selfish because you're putting all the attention on your insecurity instead of being there with your partner and actually having an experience with your partner that feels good and is for both of you. You want to work on that. And if it's not your dick size and it's, for maybe you have some weight that you want to lose, then either you got to own your body or you got to work on your body. And good things take work. I think that's just something you have to understand instead of just being told, oh, just accept your body and oh, you're too busy for that. No, you're not. If you prioritize it, you will make it happen. So sometimes it's a matter of waking yourself up and reprioritizing what's most important to you. What type of man do you want to be? How do you want to look based on your standards and the potential you see for yourself, and actually fucking working towards that. Don't let yourself off the hook with everything just because we live in a society that's super accepting, sometimes to the point of hurting us. At least in my opinion, that's how I see it. If you need to lose weight, make a plan to lose weight. Get help to do that if that's going to help you get in a more confident state and be the man you want to be. If you find yourself criticizing your size all the time, what can you do instead? How can you take pride in what you're able to do sexually? How can you acknowledge what you actually like about your dick? And I also have sex meditations that are tailored to those of you who are struggling with body image. So really, if you're looking for a coach in your ear, someone to help you talk through shame or body image or PE or ED, DE, then check out sex meditations because there is something for all of you and they can help you truly. And the link for sex meditations will be in the description of this episode. So go check it out. And if you're looking for more one-on-one support, then you can apply for my high ticket coaching, which you can find the link in the description as well. But if you did find this podcast because you found my free guide on 3 ways to fix your sex life, then you will be receiving emails if you haven't already. And also check your spam just to make sure you got them. And these emails will give you actions to take in the next week or so that you can have fast wins in your sex life. You can take fast action and therefore make progress and feel like you are moving forward because you are. It starts with the slow, steady progress. That's what you want to start with because that's what you're able to maintain. And just know that if you need more one-on-one support, I can help you do that. You can apply for one-on-one coaching. And if you're looking for more of a low-ticket product, then Sex Meditations can help you as well. But that's it for this episode. Have an amazing morning, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world, and I'll talk to you soon.